What's going on, Patriots fans? Welcome to Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Allie Barefoot, and on today's show, we're going to build the perfect offensive line to give Drake Maye the chance to succeed this year in New England, because we know what we were dealing with last year. It's just not going to cut it. So I want to talk about left tackle, left guard, center, and right tackle. There's a reason why I'm not going to talk about that right guard position, and we're going to bring that up here in just 1 second. But I think first things first, we do need to address the elephant in the room, which, of course, is the Patriots' top choice at left tackle is now officially off the board. Ronnie Stanley has re-signed with the Baltimore Ravens to an extension, 3 years for $60 million, with $44 million guaranteed. I kind of knew this was going to happen. When you have a guy like Ronnie Stanley, you don't let him go to free agency. And that's exactly what the Baltimore Ravens did. And even Mike Vrabel talking about this in retrospect to wide receivers, but it's really, really hard to find that number one great talent like Ronnie Stanley at left tackle, T. Higgins at wide receiver in free agency, because teams know what they have and they want to keep them for as long as they can. So now the Patriots are going to have to shift their gears just a little bit and try and find another prospect at left tackle. But I want you guys to go ahead and hit that like button for me if you guys haven't already. If you want to give Drake Maye solid protection, Stanley or no Stanley, we still need to fill that left tackle spot, really protect Drake Maye's blind side moving forward in 2025. So go on ahead and let me know what you guys are thinking in the comment section down below by hitting that thumbs up button for me. Because honestly, what Drake Maye dealt with in this last year, it's just honestly, it was never going to cut it, right? Verdarian Lowe at left tackle, Layden Robinson, a rookie at left guard, David Andrews for only 4 games at center, Michael Onwenu at right guard, and then DeMontre Jacobs, who I just genuinely do not see how he is a starter in the NFL. He is not very high on my list in terms of right tackle. So I also want to bring up here that when we do build the Patriots starting offensive line for Drake Maye, there was a recent report that it looks like Michael Onwenu is the only Patriots player guaranteed to start this year in 2025. And I completely agree with that. I think when you look at that depth chart, the only person that would probably be another starter on any other team is Michael Onwenu. Maybe David Andrews, but he's also up there a little bit in age. So Onwenu is really your only true starter, which means you have to fill several different positions to get the offensive line up to par just to be able to compete with the rest of the NFL. So, Ronnie Stanley's out. My top left tackle choice now is going to be Cam Robinson. I'm not 110% thrilled at the idea of Cam Robinson at left tackle, but he is now one of the best free agents on the market, along with Dan Moore. And the reason why I'm not over the moon, jumping up and down ecstatic about a guy like Robinson, it's just because the last year or so he has really struggled at pass protection, and he's been extremely tough at run blocking. Sources called Robinson a backup plan if Stanley re-signed, and we know that happened, so now it looks like Robinson is going to be very high on the Patriots list. Stanley was plan A, Robinson and Dan Moore are plan B. He is ranked number 20 overall in all PFF agents, so this guy isn't bad by any means, but when you could have had a guy like Ronnie, then yes, you're obviously just dropping a little bit here. But right now he is cheaper, which is a good news for the Patriots, even though they do have plenty of cap space to go on. So when you have a guy like Cam Robinson, when he did play for the Minnesota Vikings last year, he really struggled, but it could have also just been because he was in a new system. He got traded halfway through. Maybe it just wasn't the right fit for him. But overall, when you're allowing 7 sacks in 17 games, it makes me start to worry. When you're ranked in the 130s in all left tackles in the NFL, it's not giving me the kind of comfort that I need to allow Drake Maye to thrive this next season. Now, who knows? Maybe in this new offensive system, he can learn to find his footing and fit with this scheme. But in Jacksonville, it was kind of the same thing. 7 sacks allowed against Trevor Lawrence. But with the free agency market being the way that it is, it looks like Cam Robinson is a very, very realistic target to bring to New England. And I don't want to, talk him down. I think that he is still a very good prospect, but it's just not as great as Ronnie Stanley. So if you don't want Robinson, if you don't want more, go on ahead and let me know in the comment section down below Who do you guys want at that offensive tackle position if it's not going to be Cam Robinson or Dan Moore? Put it in the comment section down below. All right, now let's go ahead and move on to the left guard position. I am going to draft Will Campbell. I think this would be a really good asset to pair along with a kind of shaky left tackle in Robinson. Now, I know that Campbell right now is listed as your left tackle in his draft prospect, but he can play guard and tackle, which is something you should definitely note because we need help on the interior offensive line as well, and that's why I think that somebody like Will Campbell could be a huge asset to the inside, especially because we struggled last year with a couple of rookies in Layden Robinson and Caden Wallace. So Patriots are highly interested in drafting either Will Campbell or Mason Graham, the defensive tackle, with pick number 4. He can play both you can play tackle or guard. That way you can move him in internally if you want. And right now he is a top 10 player on Mel Kiper's big board. So this is a guy, great locker room guy. He plays until the whistle. I know he's got not exactly the arm length that Mike Vrabel has technically been looking for, but sometimes you just have to take the good with the bad. So Campbell should definitely be on your radar moving forward, and this is a guy that's going to be able to come in and absolutely fit into an NFL mold right off the bat. In 2024, he played 866 snaps, and he allowed 2 sacks. So even if you pair him with Cam Robinson, who allows upwards of 5 to 7 sacks a season, hopefully Will Campbell, if he plays the same way he does in college at the professional level, there's going to be a little extra protection on that left side if you pair a guy that barely lets anything through his path with 2 sacks allowed. His run block is going to be able to bring up Cam Robinson's as well. Robinson's about like a 56 right now, whereas Will Campbell is at a 70. So I do think that is going to strengthen your left side overall. So, once again, there is not for certain that we will take Will Campbell at pick number 4. If Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter are still available, you can especially expect them to try and sign one of those players. But Campbell is not a guy that you guys should be sleeping on to play internally as well as externally. My center for the Patriots moving forward, I'm still going to stick with David Andrews. If he is healthy and he is ready to come back, I do think that David Andrews is the veteran presence that is going to give Drake Maye the protection that he needs. And we don't have to question about what his ability is. We know exactly what David Andrews can do. We've seen it for several years. So that's why it's just a little bit of, okay, maybe we don't have to try and guess with a guy like Andrews. And according to a report, it does look like David Andrews does want to come back for the 2025 NFL season. Obviously, we know that he did miss 4 games. He only played 4 games because he did unfortunately suffer a season-ending injury. He is up there a little bit with age, but David Andrews recently said, look, I know this is a tough business. The organization might come to me and tell me it's time to move on. I might get into OTAs and training camp, and I know I can't do it. If the organization decides to go in a different way, that's their choice. But I hope that's not the case. I want to play football. I've done this for a long 26 years. That's what I mean. You know exactly what you're getting in the captain, David Andrews. And he continued to say, I'd like to make it to 27 years and just see where it goes from there. I'm just taking it day by day. That's all I really can do right now. But I've been through it before, so I know what's going to take, and I'm going to try to do it. So I have a question here for you guys, and that is going to be, do you want David Andrews to come back? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know in the comment section if you guys haven't below. Do we want Andrews back at center for the Patriots this upcoming year? And of course, let's talk about right tackle. Demontre Jacobs is not going to be able to cut it. So you're probably thinking, Jedrick Wills, Allie, why? This is a left tackle right now for the Cleveland Browns. Why would we be taking Jedrick Wills at right tackle? Well, here's the thing that not a lot of people know about Mr. Wills, is that he actually played right tackle in college, which is where I think he personally thrives. I do not think that left tackle is where his assets really thrive here. I do think that for a guy like Jedrick Wills, he hasn't really lived up to the expectations that people thought he was going to have when he was drafted a couple of years ago. And that's because I don't think he's in the right spot. I think that if you were able to move him back to the right side, what he played in college, where he allowed 3 sacks, I think that that's going to be a game changer for not just Wills, who's at the prime of his career, keep in mind, but also for the Patriots offensive line, where if you're going to have Robinson at that left side, who we know a couple of things start to get through that block, maybe on the right side, it could always allow Drake Maye, who is very mobile, to roll out more so that right side because he trusts somebody like Jedrick Wills. But that's also just hypothetical. Wills does still have to prove that he can play that right tackle position the same way that he did in college, which it's been a couple of years since obviously he has been there. But also, when you allow 1 sack in 3 years at right tackle, when you played for Alabama, that's a stat that you should really be harping on. This is a guy that knows that side a lot better than he does the left one, and he really struggled for a struggling offense in Cleveland at left tackle. So I think that overall, if you bring him back to where he's supposed to be, maybe he can give us his best work. The offensive line is terrible. We need to fix it, and I know Mike Vrabel, Elliott Wolf, and Robert Kraft are willing to spend whatever it takes to get Drake Maye the protection that he needs. Whether or not that left tackle position is going to be led to free agency, the draft, or a trade, I do think that that position should be number 1 overall in the priority list, and then every other position should start to follow. But that domino first should fall at that left tackle position. I have one more question here for you guys before we do hop away from today's show, and that, of course, is going to be grade this offensive line. What do you guys think about this offensive line overall? A, B, C, D, or F? Do you guys like it? Is it an upgrade, or do you think I absolutely failed at this project? Go on ahead and let me know in the comment section down below if you guys have not already. And as always, go on ahead and hit that sub button for me.